I shall venture forth and become a hero like my grandfather before me. I shall be a quester. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today guys, we are here for another book review. But before we get into that, please do me a huge favor by liking this video and subscribing to the channel, as it does help us grow on that march to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. And while you're down there, you might as well check out the description box down below for the link to the Wizardly Doe Discord, as well as links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon if you want to support the channel. And that said, let's jump right on in to this book review, because we are talking about J.D. Mitchell's Springtide Harvest. And guys, this one is quest-based fantasy right off the bat. Like, picture you're like in the basement with your friends and you've started up like maybe like a one-on-one D&D campaign. So like you've got to be given a couple quests. Maybe like you've got your DM and you got like 2 people playing D&D, and like it's just bare bones, you've got a module and stuff like that. That's kind of what this is, with a twist. And we'll get into that. But first, let's read the back of the book. The old world is dead. Worse, it was a lie. Haskell wants to be a legend, a hero, like his grandfather who broke the orcish hordes. Froba, who just wants to survive and stay ahead of her cruel master. A corrupt guard who makes her grift naive adventurers. Froba knows what Haskell doesn't, that the deck is stacked against him, and there are no heroes left in the world. Aided by a cheerful band of misfits, Haskell must survive a monster-infested forest and the exploitive treasure-hunting guild founded to clear it. While Froba must decide where her loyalties lie, with her carefree mark or cunning master, if fierce woodland monsters don't devour them first. And that right there is the blurb for Springtide Harvest, and it introduces us to our 2 main characters. We've got Haskell and Froba. We'll tackle Haskell first. And essentially, Haskell is kind of this merchant's son. He has this family legend that his grandfather was this orcish quester, or this guild member that we mentioned, that exploitive money-hungry guild. He was a part of that guild, and he's grown up on the legend of his grandfather. But his dad just wants to be a merchant and won't tell him anything really about his grandfather. And this basically leads Haskell's imagination to run wild. And this is kind of where the twist comes in. Usually in a story kind of like this, Haskell would take the sword of his grandfather, go off and become a successful hero. But what if the hero is just naive and falls flat on his face? That we do get to analyze that here very, very much. Now, if this sounds like it's just a pure fun romp, it is fun, but it does have a dark undertone, because there is a theme of failure. There's a theme of abuse. There's a theme of wanting to be more. There is so many interesting themes that are packed into Springtide Harvest, because like these characters want to be better. Froba is this waif. Like, she is in Branthal, which is right outside this dark forest, the forest that's mentioned in the back of the blurb, and it is monster infested. It actually has dungeons. When Haskell arrives in Branthal, he goes to sign up with the Questers Guild, only to be seen as a mark by kind of like an underground criminal organization run by like just a gate guard by the name of Ferd, who happens to be Froba's master. And he kind of gets marked for as being like, you know, hey, we can take this guy for all of his damn money. And yeah, that's kind of what they do with him. And it's watching Haskell struggle with just, he's got the in his brain like, I'm going to be a hero. All I have to do is throw around a bit of money, get a nice suit of armor. I've already stolen my grandfather's sword from my good-for-nothing father and run away from home to become this quester's hero, and I'm going to go slay orcs and kill goblins and trolls and dragons. Like, he gets drunk on his own imaginary legend. Meanwhile, we've got Froba, who is coming from the bottom. Like, I mean, she is just, like, it's kind of interesting because Haskell starts here. Like, he's got the small fortune. He comes from a well family, and then we've got Froba, who is kind of down here. And over the course of the story, they will meet here and kind of become equals. And it is not exactly a smooth transition. And it's so fun to go on this adventure because Froba is, I think she's a 13-year-old girl, I think is her, right around her age. And she is just this street kid who is doing her best to survive. Nobody's looking out for her. Nobody's helping her. Only Ferd, and Ferd is abusive and cruel towards her. And so she wants a way out, but she doesn't see a way out. And it's kind of, as we go through the journey, we kind of get to discover where they are going overall. Now, in terms of just readability, this book just flies. It's very readable prose. It's a very simple concept executed in a fantastic way. Overall, like, the themes and the characters are great and well executed. I can see what J.D. Mitchell is trying to do with Springtide Harvest. So for the prose, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, and that's not bad. That is just great readability. In terms of story, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because even though it's not the most complex of adventures, it's still a simple concept executed in an entertaining way. In terms of darkness, let's see. How about I give this, in terms of darkness, I'll give it about a 2.5 out of 5. It's not super dark, but there are dark moments, but we don't super lean into those moments. In terms of just inventiveness, I would say this is fairly inventive because I've never seen the quest kind of mechanic used in that way. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And then in terms of characterization, I will give characterization a 5 out of 5 because it's very, very interesting. Because what we're getting here is the only reason that I'm ranking this book kind of at a 4 out of 5, if I have to give it a star rating. I'm gonna start trying to back away from star ratings and just kind of break it down into these kind of themes and concepts that pop into my head in the moment to kind of let you know what I'm thinking about it. Haskell is not entirely likable. He is supposed to be, but at the same time, like, well, I don't say he's supposed to be. He thinks he's supposed to be is what I'm trying to say. But he comes across as abrasive and full of braggadocio and arrogant and unwilling to listen to everybody. Like, he shows up, he's like, I already know what I'm going to do. I've got this awesome sword. I'm going to stick the pointy end into the monster, and I'm going to make moolah. And everybody's just like, that's not quite how this works. He's like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. And it's just, that's kind of who Haskell is. So he's not always super enjoyable to read on the page, but there is a character arc there that does take the entirety of the book to unlock. Because a lot of the times when you're reading a book, they'll have the redemption arc halfway through the book. And then, like, you're just like, well, like, no, like, that could have gone on a little longer. And Haskell does use that time. Same with Froba. But I think Froba's a little bit more relatable because, again, she's starting from the bottom, working her way up, and she doesn't really have a lot of choices, while Haskell had choices. So I identify more with Froba in this adventure than I do with, say, Haskell. And again, my overall rating for this is a 4 out of 5. I love this cover because we've kind of got this tower, which I think this is the Guild Tower, and then we've got Haskell here on the cover, and I believe this is Froba. Now, the only issue I have with the cover is, even though I love this silhouette of the dragon, if you're going to put a dragon on the cover, I would like there to be a dragon in the book. There is a dragon skull in the book, but there is not, that I remember, a full-winged dragon in said story. We do have goblins. We do have Quiras, I think is how that's pronounced. Q-U-I-R-A? I don't know how to pronounce that. And I've probably also misspelled it. But guys, I mean, if you're looking for just some great, well-executed, quest-based fantasy, this is not only a quick read, but a very enjoyable one. And again, let's just get in on that cover. This is Springtide Harvest by J.D. Mitchell. I don't know if this is a standalone, but the ending has been left open for a potential sequel. We do have an epilogue where something could possibly happen. I would be definitely interested in continuing this series. And guys, please give this one a shot. That's really all I've got here for you. So as always, guys, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.